Okay, so I hope you guys started to catch on to how to multiply the expressions. You just make it into one line, parentheses your plus and minus stuff, factor it, and then you think of things I can cross out. But adding and subtracting is a whole different ballgame, okay? You can't combine it into one fraction. You do that right away when you're multiplying, but when you're adding and subtracting, eventually I'm going to make one fraction, but I cannot do it yet. What I've done is I've made these two huge fractions because we're going to have to change some things. We need to put a parentheses around that because it's got adding and subtracting in it. This has adding and subtracting in it. So does this, and so does this. Okay. Now I need to try to factor those adding and subtracting expressions. So x to the second minus 5 equals 0. Or no, not equals 0. Okay, two terms, so I'd go with the GCF. And then I see if I have adopts. Okay. GCF, you don't have one, and it's not adopts, so that stays the same. Okay, that's going to stay x to the second minus 5. Now go look at the one beneath it. 1x to the second plus 5x minus 14. Okay. GCF followed by my t-chart. There is no GCF. 1 times negative 14 is negative 14, difference of 5, and then I find that with 2 times 7. A is 1 here, so I just need 2. So XX, and then 2 and 7, and it's plus 5, so you got a plus 7 and minus 2. So I change this. That is now going to become x minus 2 times x plus 7. You kind of got to write small here because you're going to put some more things on that fraction. Okay, is there a GCF there? No. Is there at adopts? No, that's a prime factor, so we just put that like it is. And the same with that. Sometimes you can just look at it and you know I know it can't factor. Okay, now what we got to do is find our lowest common denominator. So all we're worried about is the bottom. I don't care what's on top. So I have x minus 2 as a parentheses factor. I have x plus 7. Do I have anything outside of parentheses on the bottom? I don't. That's it. So x minus 2, I've got 1, and I don't have 1 here. So I need to make sure they both have 1. So I'm going to put x minus 2, x minus 2. And then x plus 7's, I got 1 and 1, so I'm good. Okay. Now, after that, now you simplify this into one fraction, but here's how. Circle one of your denominators. They're both the same, so you circle either one. Write what's in that, because that's your common denominator. You write that just once. And then I combine the tops, okay? I have x to the second minus 5, and then put your minus, circle it, and then x plus 3, x minus 2. Okay? So far we're okay. Now, what I'm going to do is simplify this top expression on a piece of scratch paper, okay? So I'll flip that over. Now, I'm going to show you a technological tool that simplifies that for you, but we are going to do the first couple simplifying it on scratch paper. So I don't want this, oh God, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to show you, okay? But first I need to show you how you would do it by hand. Okay, so I've got x to the second minus 5 minus, and then x plus 3 times x minus 2. Okay, there's no times on that side of the minus. I put a 1 there and just drop it down. There is times on this side. I need to FOIL that. Okay, so I take 1x times 1x. I take 1x times negative 2. I take 3 times 1x, and I take 3 times negative 2. So that's 1x squared, negative 2x, positive 3x, and negative 6. And those add up to 1x. So minus parentheses, and I put 1x to the second. I want to combine that into 1 plus 1x minus 6. Okay? Then you make that plus and make all these opposite. That goes from negative, negative, and that now is positive. Okay, not plus negative, it's just positive. So 1x squared and negative 1x squared make 0, so I just forget those. And then I want to write my negative 1x, and then negative 5 plus 6 is 1. Okay, so now that's been simplified, and I just write it, negative 1x plus 1. Now I want you to factor this top, negative 1x plus 1. So GCF and DOPS. Now GCF, you got a negative in front, and you can't find anything else, so we need to factor out a negative 1. So I divide by negative 1, that becomes 1x minus 1. It's not a DOPS, so forget it. Okay, now I write, it says cancel. Here's how you do that. Write what you came up with, negative 1, 1x minus 1, and then put what you had in the denominator, which is x minus 2, x plus 7. Now the reason I have to factor the top, because it's possible you might have two parentheses that are the same and they can be canceled. You won't know unless you factor. Here there are no common parentheses, so this therefore is my answer. Okay, next one. Again, parenthesize where you have plus and minus. X plus 3, there's no GCF, and there's no way that's a DOP, so I can just pretty much drop that down. The two terms ones you should be able to tell, okay? I mean, look at GCF, no. Well, is it a DOPS? No. Then the bottom one, 1x a second. It's a trinomial. Trinomials are probably going to be able to be broken down. GCF and T. Okay, GCF. Doesn't appear I have one. And then negative 8, difference of 2. And that's 1 and 8, no. 2 and 4, boom. Okay, A equals 1 here. So x, and then I've got 2 and 4 minus, so minus 4 plus 2. So this here needs to turn into x plus 2 times, put the dot there, I would suggest, x minus 4. X minus 5, no GCF, no DOPS, okay? And then the other one, the bottom one, x to the second minus 12x plus 32, okay? GCF, nope. T-chart, 1 times 32 is positive 32, sum of 12, and that's 4 times 8. 8 equals 1. So x times x, I got a 4 and an 8, and we got to have minus 8 and minus 4. So I put x minus 4 times x minus 8. Okay, now LCD, you got to count. Then right now the denominators are not the same. So I have a parentheses of x plus 2. I have a parentheses of x minus 4. Then I have x minus 4. I already know I have that. And then x minus 8. I don't have anything outside I need to worry about. So x plus 2, I've got 1. And I don't have 1 on the bottom there. So I go times x plus 2. And the top is times x plus 2. Okay, x minus 4, I got 1 and 1. We're good. X minus 8, I've got 0 and 1. So times x minus 8 times x minus 8. Now I combine it into 1. I just circle one of the denominators and write what's down there. X plus 2 times x minus 4 times x minus 8. Because without doing that, a lot of people will just put all this stuff. No. Okay? Okay, combine. Remember, Miss Patton always teach you got to get common denominators to add or subtract. You don't need them to multiply, but to add and subtract, they have to be there. Okay, so what do I have here? I've got x plus 3 times x minus 8 minus, circle that, and then x minus 5 times x plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to make a parentheses for this and a parentheses for this. Okay, I have to FOIL on both sides, so I've got x times x times negative 8, 3 times x, and 3 times negative 8. So that's x squared, 1, negative 8x, 3x, and negative 24. Okay, so I've got 1x squared. The negative 8 and 3 make negative 5x minus 24. And then I need to FOIL this side because I have to multiply. X times x times 2, negative 5 times x, negative 5 times 2. So x squared, 2x, negative 5x, negative 10. 1x squared minus 3x minus 10. Now that minus you want to make plus and switch all these to negative, plus, plus. So 1 and negative 1 again will just cancel out. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2x, and negative 24 and positive 10 make negative 14. So there's my simplified top, negative 2x minus 14. Now we want to try to factor that expression. GCF, and two terms would be DOPS. GCF, you have a negative in the front, and you can also divide by 2. Not x, but by 2. So negative 2. That's going to be 1x plus 7. Okay, not a DOPS. So I put what I ended up with, so negative 2 times 1x plus 7. And then I write what was in my denominator here. Okay, so x plus 2 times x minus 4 times x minus 8. Okay. None of these parentheses end up the same, and negative 2 is the only outside factor, so that's done. Now, I'm going to stop the video because now I'm going to start showing you how to do it on the computer.